The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgate Shots YouTube channel. And I don't know where to start with this because I got a lot of my frustration out yesterday over the performance that we witnessed against West Ham. I'm saying performance, the lack of performance that we saw against West Ham. Who wants to go first?
Go on, Mark.
Why are you pointing out the window?
I think Deka's camera's reversed, so it's pointing that direction.
Sorry, I'm pointing to you. Yeah, go on, Mark. You set the tone.
You want to ask your next door neighbour how bad it was?
Oh, I heard him. Didn't you, Rory? I heard him.
Well, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely amazing. Best I've ever seen. Is what Deka would probably say if I said it was absolutely awful.
Well, I'll go. That was concerning. I think it was concerning, that performance. And I've been quite positive, I think, over recent weeks. And even when we haven't played very well, I've said, getting the result, there was signs of this, signs of that. That was atrocious on the pitch and off it. I thought that tactically and the substitutions were all wrong. 4 right backs playing. It was the lack of effort, the lack of desire, the lack of ideas. Lads look shattered. I mean, you got to remember, right? This team here, right, haven't won a game for 100 years or something, right? Haven't won a home game since the last time they won a home. We had beat them. We had beat them at their ground. The last time that hadn't won a home game in between that, right?
9 months ago. Yeah,
it's horrendous, right? There was scheduled protests after the game, sit-in protests, whatever that was going to be. You take the lead within 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and you're like, I thought then, we've got no problems here. It's going to be fine. I'm not saying we'll run away with the game, but we'll be fine. And we'll just let them come back into the game. I have no idea. I mean, even how on the sidelines, man, he was shouting. You could see him, how annoyed he was that they weren't pressing the ball. It was unrecognisable at the Newcastle that we have been, but I will also say we haven't seen the Newcastle that I always talk about for quite a while.
I don't even think it was that we let them back into the game. They were already fully in the game by that point, weren't they? I mean, even before we scored, we're literally from one end to the other, wasn't it? They hit the post with Bone, and then we just turned it round and went down the other end. But yeah, it was just. You struggle to look at that. Well, not even 11, because obviously there was a lot of changes made. But everybody come on, and you struggle to pick anybody in that team that looked good or even reasonable. In fairness, I think we struggled all over the pitch in every position.
I think
it was only Charles.
I think Howe comes out with that at full time as well. And he's asked about the decisions that he made at half time. There's 3 substitutions that are made at half time. And it's very rare that you see that from Eddie Howe. But he said the reason, he's basically saying that he could have picked anybody to come off in that first half because nobody was performing in the way that they should have been, which is unlike Eddie Howe. Eddie doesn't normally badmouth these players or throw them under the bus. And I don't think he has thrown them under the bus, but he's been very, very critical of them, and probably rightly so. Were you shocked how bad it was, Besty? Because my opinion in there, I think this result has been coming for us a long while. I think that we've managed to use our get out of jail card a couple of times already this season, and I think the performances haven't been great. I think that like if you look at Fulham, you look at the Wolves game where we've picked up all the 3 points in each one of those games, not been great performances. Then you go away to West Ham, where obviously I know Mark doesn't like to say this, but on paper, you should be beating a team that hasn't won a home game in 9 months. You should be, no matter which team you are, you should be putting in a better performance. Did you see that coming, Besty, or you were shocked as the rest of it?
Still haven't totally thought out from the Ashley years. I think so. Every game I expect it could trip up. West Ham have been so poor as well over all season. You look at the Brentford game a few weeks ago, Leeds the weekend before last there, and they've been really, really dreadful, like clueless relegation certainties. Dr. Newcastle is, I would say, roll into town. And again, it's one of those ones where the first 10 minutes before the game's really settled, it didn't look too bad. Murphy had that chance. He had an identical chance. Did he have an identical chance a bit later on?
Yeah,
he had a similar one there. He scuffed it past the post.
I don't recall their keeper really having anything to do. The second half was, at first, it's really hard to kind of convey. It was awful. It was as bad a performance as we've had under Eddie Howe. I think, I was at Goodison when they got beat 3-0 when Trippier had a stinker a couple of seasons ago.
9 months. Sorry.
But other than that, I honestly can't think of a worse performance. We've had a few hidings off Man City, Villa, Brentford last season. They were better games than Sunday. It was just we didn't show it in. But the point's right. It's correct to say, like the 11 blokes who started the game played terribly. The blokes who came on, if anything, probably played worse. It was a shocking. Emil Kraft, bless him. I don't want to sit here and chuck players under the bus. But Kraft, it's not a Premier League performance. It's not. It was hopeless. The changes he made at half time, I thought the changes were bad as well. I thought, how had a bad day. I think. Voldemar didn't do a great deal, but how many first halves we're seeing where he hasn't done a great deal, and he pops up with that moment. What was the other one? Shea came on for Kraft and Chow went at fullback.
Right back. He went to right back. Yeah.
That was a weird one. Ramsey coming on and Joe Linton going left wing. I thought, I wondered if something was said at half time because people have been really quick. I think people want Anthony Gordon to fail sometimes. I wondered at half time, and I love Gordon. I wondered at half time, I wonder if he's got in the dressing room and how's either tore strips off him or if he said something about the matter as well. It's concerning, especially when we're so lacking in depth up front. And it's plainly obvious we've only got one Premier League standard fit striker at the club at the minute. It was.
Yeah, you had to get that little dig in there, didn't you?
Dreadful.
Oh, it was coming.
But he's shit. He's absolute shit.
Well, that's.
I think that's
hard
really hard
to say that based on the performance you've seen at the weekend. I think the reason
I've even said his name.
well, it's clear what you're going on about, though, isn't it?
But I've pointed it out as well.
Wow, that took a turn.
That's probably why he played so badly. But the changes he made, were terrible, and it was. And I think Howe's got to, take responsibility. I think Howe will take responsibility for that as well. Like the whole thing. I believe the second half had all of the ball and did nothing with it. I think Asula had a header that was straight down the keeper's throat, and that was the one shot on target we had in the second half. It was hopeless, but like it stands out that it's been that's the worst one. Like you say, Kris, like the Fulham game wasn't great, the Wolves game wasn't great, but we won them. And Deka, you've made the point over the past few weeks that there's not really a massive amount between the games that you win and lose often, but that one on Sunday, West Ham, I think I would say the goal coming, the second goal coming when it did, it was a hugely unlucky thing that happened. And when it happened, I think if that happens, well, if it hits the post and goes out, or if it goes in, maybe it's 5 minutes into the second half, or an hour, you've got a bit of a chance to pick yourselves up. But that's demoralising. That happened at half time. But all the goals are avoidable. I think that was unlucky. The first one, I think Pope should have had his hat in it. He probably shouldn't have punched the cross out to start with. The last one's just we're pushing for it to try and get something out of the game and they break, and that can happen. But I just really, really, and it's as bad as it's been for a long time. That
It's for me. It's definitely the worst performance under Eddie Howe, without doubt. And I know. Sorry, Chris, you go, mate, because you're going to have more.
No, I was going to agree with you. I think when I did the reaction video yesterday, I think a lot of the comments coming in have agreed with you, Deka, saying that under since Eddie Howe came in, we've been very blessed with how well we have performed, and you roll into these games and you expect better. Even if you don't come out with the result that you're hoping for, you expect better from the lads that you have on the field. And all these are, majority of these are international footballers. And they just look like some of the body language for some of them absolutely stunk the place out. Like, I think Besty mentioned Gordon. Gordon's body language was shocking, but he's been accused of this a few times previously. And he wasn't the only one. I thought Bruno was completely off it. And I don't know what it is, but every time he goes up against his mate, Pakatoy, I think he balls it. Like, he scores the equalising goal, and Bruno just saunas out to close it down. Then that's it. There's no challenge. There's nothing in there.
Turns his back on it.
Exactly.
Turns his back on the ball.
And it's not the first time he's done it when he's gone up against him. And I'm just thinking, anybody else, he would go in and at least try and make a challenge or stop the shot coming in. And it was just really frustrating. And I found myself getting more and more annoyed as that game went on. And I think yesterday I feel as if I had to do the match reaction because I'm just festering over the next few days. And I had loads to get off my chest. And normally you lads know, especially on a Monday show, I'll sit there and I'll ask the questions and I'll not really get involved to a certain extent. But yesterday I was so pissed off. I was asking questions, then just answering them in the same sentence because I was so annoyed. Yeah. And rightly so. I think players right now, the players that were involved, whether that was starting or coming off the bench, they have to stand up and address that situation. And I think Eddie has to do exactly the same. I agree with Besty. Some of the decisions were absolutely mental. We had, like you said at the very start, we had 4 different players playing at right back. You had Tonali playing at right back at one point, which, what the fuck is going on? When you play that's going to create the chances of playing at right back, come on.
Here comes Mark.
I get that, but you've also got to think we haven't got anybody else that can play there. There is that side to things. Chow going there, I can understand because he has played at right back, right wing back kind of position in the past. I understand that one.
Murphy, right wing back.
Murphy has it right wing back.
And did.
It doesn't make it better, but he's obviously trying to make changes to try and get us back into the game and try something.
But that's what I don't get. You're trying to make changes to get back into the game by getting your most creative player and putting him at right back. How is that changing to be more creative? It's not.
That was later on up, and we'd already kind of brought on the forwards in those positions. We weren't winning the game in midfield anyway, and that's the top and bottom of it, as you've already said. That the players that kind of were already there. How Bruno stayed on the pitch, Joe Linton, how he wasn't hauled off in any of the changes because he was absolutely abysmal.
Sorry.
No, it's.
I think I described him as atrocious yesterday.
Yeah, it's just, and these are the players, and I think given the type of game that we're going into and playing, and we've seen it a lot of times away from home this season, is that when we are kind of we're having to play deeper in midfield, and Voltamora's having to come deeper. I just don't understand why we don't go to a 2 in the back of midfield to allow us to then have somebody closer to Voltamora that can link in. It made perfect sense to do that. Give us a little bit of solidity in the middle of the field, but then give us the ability to get forward. I think that's why he introduced the changes that he did at half time. Taking Voltamora off was to bring Asula on to try and allow us to close the ball down, press a little bit more, get us higher up the pitch because we were really, really struggling with that. But again, if you're going to do that, that's when you need your midfield players to be dominating. So I think, again, that's probably why he left Joe Linton on the pitch at that point, but you very, very quickly seen that it wasn't working, but still left them there. Bringing obviously Ramsey in was trying to again get us higher up and closer, but just the changes. I can understand why he was trying to make the changes and what he was trying to do. It just didn't happen.
The Joe Linton left wing blew my mind. That one in particular really did blow my mind because Gordon wasn't getting much change out of Wan-Bissaka. He wasn't getting much change out of him. Wan-Bissaka's experience, he's got a bit of pace, right? And and I thought putting Joe Linton against him, basically you've got Joe Linton and Dan Burn on the left-hand side of our team here. That has got to be the slowest left-hand side in Premier League history on the left-hand side. And I thought that change was really mental. Joe Linton was poor all game. I think what shocked us the most was how tired we looked. We looked really tired, but he had made quite a few changes from the Wednesday side. You know what I mean? He rested. He changed things around on Wednesday.
And he even came out in his comments to say he did that because he understood he had this game coming on, and he'd understand that we would be tired if he'd gone with them. I mean, we have played, what is it, the last 3-4 weeks, we've had 2 games a week, so I understand you're playing a lot of games. That's why he is rotating the team as and when he can. But those players that did have a rest looked like they'd played, 90 minutes plus extra time, plus penalties, plus a replay.
They did. At times,
it's crazy. I
honestly thought they had been playing for a week. Honestly, that second half. Yeah. But I just want to ask you what your opinion is, because I've watched a few Eddie Howe interviews, but I don't think it's been asked the question or addressed. And if I missed it, this is why I'm asking the question. Why did he bring Voltemeda and Gordon off? Has this been asked of him yet?
Gordon had a hip injury. He's came out and said, but also it's a tactical. I mean, Gordon was shocking. Let's not beat about the bush there. He was absolutely awful. I say this most weeks. Long points of the game.
I say this most weeks. I think is it 19 Premier League games now without a goal involvement or whatever it may be. Like, I'm sorry. Listen, he has to be better than that. Like, now in fairness to the lad, he had a great shot that the keeper saved. I think it was a very, very good effort. That was a great save, to be quite honest.
Just after equaliser, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But Gordon has been miles off it. Like, I just thought that it was the Voltemeda one that really annoyed us because when he came off. Now, tactically, or perhaps Voltemeda has played a lot of games, but let's be very fair here, right? Nuno, as a manager anyway, always tries to sit back and get teams on the counter. They were 2-1 up. They were always going to sit back in that second half. Yeah. Always going to sit back. And the one thing I noticed, and I don't know if he's agree or not, but them played incredibly narrow and were quite allowing them to go wide quite often, really. Yeah. They were quite happy for it to do that. And you've just took a 7-foot odd guy off the field. I'm like, my God, it blew me mind, that, to be quite honest. And listen, he might have been hurt, he might have been tired. I know he didn't have a good first half. But let's be very honest. Voltemeda hasn't really, bless him, he has had some games where he hasn't been involved very much, right? And I'm not blaming him for that, but he still managed to get a goal, hasn't he? He still managed to do that. And I think if he has judged that first half on, you're not doing enough or you're not creating enough, I'm taking you off. And I could be wrong here. I honestly could be wrong. But that's really bad if he's done that.
What really surprised me, Besty, was the fact that Deka's just addressed it. You're playing against a team, especially the second half, that you know for fine well they're going to sit behind the ball and just defend that with a life, then hit you on the counter-attack every single time. We bring on Anthony Elanga, who is no good when a player... Well, I could just end the sentence here. But he's no good when a team is defending deep. He's not going to get past players. Like, we know that's just not going to happen. He's got Deka's gone here.
I'm going for a go.
He's got pace, and that one was there. Was that just Eddie Howe trying? Like, you had nothing else to do, so that was the only option that you had left.
Yeah, I can only assume so. And even the commentators were saying, like, Murphy's probably the one Newcastle player has turned up today. I don't think it was brilliant, Murphy, by any stretch of the imagination. He got the goal. But yeah, I agree. But that's, to me, I don't understand bringing Elanga. And when you say, it's like St. Maximin, when we had him, he was great if the team was on the halfway line and he could run in behind. West Ham, we beat West Ham down there 3-2 a few years ago. And Maxi was unbelievable. He got round about every time with the pace he had. But when a team's sitting deep or sat deep, which happened once we started getting good, he really struggled. And Elanga's the same. Like it's not.
Once we started getting good, when did that happen?
No, I mean like 3-4 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, well,
give him that.
Maxi,
Yeah.
Maxi was there when we got good.
Yeah.
He had that half season with a qualified the Champions League, didn't he? But yeah, Elanga was a really strange decision to make when, like, Asula, for all, like I say, the one shot we had in the second half wasn't a Asula header, and if you got Murphy on the wing, Murphy who's crossings come on leaps and bounds over the past couple of years. I mean, even if Altamara's gone off, Elanga, beg pardon. Asula's still a big boy. Aim for his head, aim for him, and things can happen. Elanga hasn't got that. I've noticed Elanga likes to play a low, like an ankle biter ball in, and hope that someone can kind of get on the end of that.
Yeah,
and it's not going to happen against West Ham. Like, just the tactics were really, really weird. But what you said, Kris, about not tired, I thought the same against Fulham. In the first half against Fulham, the atmosphere was really flat, and the players were just kind of like the shoulders were down. It looked like they were buggered. And yesterday felt just the same to me. Julian on the left, like Deka says, I can kind of see, because we've talked over the last couple of years about how well that worked with him and Willock. And I wonder how we'll try to do something similar with him and Ramsey, because Ramsey's obviously technically quite similar to Willock, no better. But yeah, just nothing worked at all.
I'm yet to see that as well, mind.
Oh, sorry, I don't know that point.
I'm yet to see that from him as yet either, though.
Ramsey,
you're saying he's better.
I think Ramsey. Les, maybe first point first. What was I going to say? Eddie Howe shot his load too early last night on Sunday, and that's what annoyed us, because we only have one other striker on the bench, right? We only have one other option, and he brought him on at half time. And what I was honestly expecting at half time was, yes, a Roddick and perhaps some changes, but maybe particularly go with the same shape and the same personnel to a degree. But then I thought, as the game goes on, if we're still losing 2-1, you could go 2 up top. You could then drop. You could put Asula up front and bring Voldemort maybe in more to the 10. Because I'll repeat what I've just said 10 minutes ago, and I apologise. They are going to sit deep as out, man. They're not going to come out. They're going to try and defend that 2-1 lead. But because he made that substitution at half time, we then had no other option off the bench, striker-wise, I mean, which was just baffling for me, that one. And what was the next thing? Someone said something there. Ramsey, yeah. The only thing I'll question with Ramsey, right? Listen, when he receives a ball, right, you can see that he's a bit like Marveau for me, right? He's got the Marveau kind of like touch and sort of travels with the ball like that, but he's incredibly safe. And I don't know if he's been instructed to do that, but he's very, very, very safe as a player. He doesn't try and play a through ball. He doesn't try and unlock a defence. It's very safe. And I don't know if that's an instruction, because what I'll also add on the safe point, the only person in this football team that can shoot is Jacob Murphy, or Shea if he's 50 yards out. The only person that will take a shot is Jacob Murphy, and I'll never understand it for months.
We've said it for months, haven't we, Deka? Sometimes we're just trying to walk the ball into the goal, and Murphy's the only one when it's not going our way that he'll just try something, and at least he's having a shot, and hence the goal comes from one of those chances that he takes as well, which is a great finish, great finish. It's just, I don't know, I think, Mark, there's certain players that I want to mention that I think Eddie Howe's probably got some big decisions to make, because I think some players are just coursing through the season. I think we've already touched on one, but we'll stick with him, is Joe Linton. Joe Linton hasn't had a great start this season, far from it. And there's so many rumours going around saying that he looks like he's carrying an injury, which he does. There's always once or twice in a game where he goes down holding his knee, his ankle, whatever it may be that's troubled him at that time. And a lot of people saying, have these injuries had a knock-on effect with Joe Linton now, that where he just can't continue these run of games that he once used to be able to do? Because once upon a time, and not so long ago, he was an absolute powerhouse in that midfield, and he would be the one that would be closing players down, stopping teams from breaking. That would be him that would do that, and you're just not seeing it at the minute. And there's a few more, but what do you think about Joe Linton?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had the greatest of starts this season, has he? And I think that the way that he plays, you are obviously going to, pick up a lot of knocks. You're going to get a lot of impact and stuff like that, because he's putting his body on the line as he's playing the game. So it's no real surprise that you do see him strapped up. I mean, to be fair, he should be more dressed like St. Maximum used to be, dressed with all of the bandages wrapping around his every limb going, because he he is, always getting his, caught around the thighs, around the ankles, getting hit, ending up on the floor. So it does take a toll on your body, and he's been in there 3.5 seasons now, probably in the centre of the park, about that. So he's 3.5 years older down the line as well. That starts to take an effect on you. But again, you would think that given that we're trying to give him midweeks off, introduce him slowly, make changes and stuff like that to try and manage those minutes, that you would be able to see that kind of benefiting. But the problem is that we've got nobody else within that team that is anything like him. So it does put a huge onus on that when you want somebody in the middle of the park to break things up, be a bit of an enforcer, that his is the only shoulders that it can fall upon. And there's times where that's just not enough. And I think that this weekend was one of those times, because we absolutely were crying out for somebody in the first half to get close to Voltemada, looking for somebody in the second half to be pushing up and getting closer to Willie Asula. And the guy that then came on in midfield in Ramsey didn't do that. Joe Linton moved out on the left and had no impact at all. So it is difficult to find another Joe Linton, but we need somebody that can be a bit more of a box-to-box type of stronger player. But we're also then missing somebody that has got that creativity, because, again, we were crying out massively for a bit of creativity on the weekend. And with all respect, playing Bruno and Joe Linton, and you've got Tonali sitting as a 6. I've said it many, many times this season. We've got nobody creating anything in the middle of the pitch, which is then when Voltemada struggles. Everything is having to go wide, and that's where our chances are going from, because we're not picking any passes. When we are getting into the edge of the box, it goes from one side to another, because nobody can make a pass. We also don't have a striker that's running in behind and getting into those spaces. So it's just a accumulation of different things that are putting us in the situation that we are now.
I just want to reference something you mentioned, passing, and when you started talking about Joe Linton, how on earth that Everton players missed that, by the way. Anyway, my God, he's a yard out. Obviously everyone goes on about Joe Linton, this destroyer and like really, really amazing, blah, blah, blah. He is, right? But you know what I used to love about, and I honestly used to say this on here a lot, right, was he would very, very good at recycling the ball. So like he'd be strong and he'd pick a great pass. Not a great pass in terms of like splitting the defence open. I don't mean that. What I mean is like recycling the ball. I think he's been incredibly sloppy on the ball this season, giving it away in dangerous areas. And that's been very Joe Linton-like. And then the other thing that he used to do quite well is the odd time, again, when he's playing centre midfield, he doesn't always have to do it. He would be able to drive forward with the ball. I actually can't really remember that kind of run from him. Similar to like what Willock would do, if that makes sense. Drive the ball forward. I can't really recall him doing that. And I don't think physically he looks right. I said in the Fulham game, we all agreed in the Fulham game, I think he went down 6 or 7 times feeling his ankle.
Early on.
And maybe it is a combination of all of these niggles and all of these injuries that are just catching up, maybe.
Like Mark says,
what's also happening, Deka, is... Sorry, Besty. It was just... You're also seeing players that are on him a lot quicker now, and that are hitting him.
That's a fair point.
Because they know what he is about, so they're almost trying to stop him being able to have that impact of doing what Joe Linton does, apparently, which is being a thug.
I know hindsight's an amazing thing, but I have to say, the lads I did say when I seen the team sheet, I was disappointed he was on. The only reason was because I felt we'd have loads of the ball. That was it. It wasn't, I know how physical he is, but I would have even preferred Miley or Ramsey or someone who's a bit better on the ball, in my opinion. Because I just thought, regardless of the outcome, we are going to have more of the ball in this game, which is all. And I just don't feel Joe Linton is able to progress in that way, if that makes sense.
On about Mark saying it was like 3.5 years since the centre midfield thing, it's actually 4 years ago this month. Norwich.
What, since he went off for Norwich? No?
The Kieran Clark red card was November the 30th, so it's 4 years now he's been a centre midfield enforcer, destroyer, whatever you want to call it. And I think, I mean, in our WhatsApp group, it's kind of often said that he's quite technically limited, to be polite. And I think that's you're fighting that now because, like Deka says, he's not getting the time on the ball. And Mark's he said it, he's not getting the time on the ball that he might have had a while ago. And with that, you've got to shift it quicker. That's what Bruno's good at normally. Tonali's great. I think Miley's not too bad at it. I think it's even on Saturday, the game yesterday. Sorry, the commentators on about how this Newcastle midfield maybe is the best one in the league, and I agree with Tonali and Bruno, but Joe Linton, what he offers here isn't brilliant. And it sounds ridiculous to say it's not brilliant in the kind of footballing sense. Like Deka says, he's not going to pass the ball with Bruno. Like the Bruno assist for Gordon's first against Benfica, where it's a perfectly weighted ball at the byline. Murphy cuts it back, Gordon scores. Joe Linton can't do that.
I think maybe why people say it was the best midfield three is I think as a trio you had a bit of everything in there. Does that make sense?
Balance there,
if you go back to last season, I remember we played Man United away, my lord, and played Casemiro and Fernandes, and I'm telling you, we absolutely butchered them.
Yeah, destroyed them.
There was moments last season, and I'm not saying we'll not get back there. I'm just on about last season though. We sat around the table and went, "Is our midfield three the best in the league? Like, have we got the best midfield?" And it's such a shame. Listen, but other teams know we've got a great midfield, right? So they're going to tactically change their approach and stuff. I just don't feel that we don't change our style, in my opinion, very much. Like, don't you, watching Newcastle, what you probably will get. Albeit, mind you, yesterday you could say we didn't get it at all because it was so bad.
And that's where my complaint of having nobody central that can influence a game and do something different comes from, because you always know what we're going to do is get it out wide and try and get played across the centre. Get it to your wide man and try and hit the back post. There's nothing different. But we don't have the players that can do anything different.
I think what we haven't really mentioned yet, the fullbacks. I think we really missed Tino and Hall yesterday. Or Trippier.
We've not said it tonight, Besty, but I think we've highlighted it over the last few through Monday night. We've highlighted how important those two fullbacks are, and I mentioned this in the match reaction. Probably the only positive that I'm taking from the game is Hall being back on the bench. Yeah. I love Dan Burn, and it is going to be I love Dan Burn, but you can see teams are really like focusing on him. Brighton away, Minter was at him all the time. Every game we played, Dan Burn's the target. He's kind of perceived to be the weak link, and I think Burn's brilliant. I love Dan Burn. You can see the lack of pace that he has. Time and time again. Yesterday, West Ham broke down the left hand side. Their right, our left. Their right, our left, and caused a bother. Obviously, do you think with Burn?
Can I ask you why though?
Because
we can't.
No, because the guy that was in front of him for the entire first half did not track back once, not a single time. The second goal, Wan-Bissaka walks past Gordon. Gordon just waves him by and gets in behind. I don't care who you've got playing at left back. If you've got nobody in front of you picking up an overlapping man and helping you out, you're going to be in for a torrid afternoon. If Lewis Hall plays there, he's still going to be getting two men at him constantly because the guy in front of him isn't helping him out and isn't lifting his finger to give him a bit of help.
Can you maybe agree? You probably won't, but like, did you even at times yesterday think perhaps Dan Burn at left back isn't the way forward?
It never has been for this season, but it's needs must. We've got nobody else to play there. So it gets to a point where just continually saying, well, Dan Burn's not a left back, Dan Burn's not a left back. I get it, but we've got nobody else that can play there. So what you have to do is allow the people, and this is where Joe Linton was very good in a couple of seasons ago when he was playing out there, is he would be a bit of protection in front of it. You're not getting that protection at all. So even if Livramento's playing there, even if Lewis Hall's playing there, you're still going to have two men bombing onto you constantly if your left winger isn't doing the basics of the job.
I have to say, sorry, Bessie, you go. Sorry, Bessie, you go.
I agree that I agree with the tracking back thing, but still, they will see Dan Burn and think, right, he's not very quick, and we can get at him. I'm not having to go with Dan Burn. I love Dan Burn, and I agree that it's kind of a bit of a square peg and round hole situation, but that it's correct to point it out. I think that is something that doesn't obviously it needs to change. I think when Hall comes back and Hall's fit, because obviously it has been fit and then it's been fit. For the Premier League and being fit for Newcastle, and I think
that's going to be a long time off yet, because Howe said Hall was only on the bench because he didn't have anyone else to name there.
Yeah,
so
nobody put it.
He ain't going to be paying. He's not going to be.
What the fuck's the point?
Because he had to fill the bench.
You don't have to fill the bench. There's no point in filling it. If Hall's never going to come on, what's the point?
What's the point? Putting somebody on the bench with no intention of playing them whatsoever. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. If you said that. You
would do that if you're just going to put one of the 17, 18-year-old kids on there.
Not necessarily, because those will be fit.
But they could possibly come on, but also that's good experience for them, isn't it, to be part of the first team, understand what it's like. But Hall to come and just wash the water bottles out.
Introducing them back into the squad, getting them back in.
Oh, he's already part of the squad now. If Howe said that, I'm not having that.
He's 100%, not a chance. 100% said it. 100% said it.
There was something else he said there. Oh, I want to go back to Gordon just for a second because someone referenced something there. Now, I have to say, right, I haven't maybe noticed this as much as I did on Saturday. He did not track back at all. I have to say that on Saturday, I did notice that, and other people have told me that, in previous games, and I've never really seen it. And I'm like, I think you were wrong there. He works really hard. But I have to say, on Saturday, there was about 3 or 4 times where I was like, hang on, he's not even trying to run back here.
Which then results in Burn having one Bissaka going up against them.
I did think the second goal. I'm sorry, but I did think Burn was at fault on that one. Botman, obviously, bless him, God bless him, can't he now?
Watch it back and just you watch Anthony Gordon.
I thought Burn stepped up, but can I move it on to someone else who I'm really desperate to talk about?
Can I guess who it's going to be?
Go on then, Chris.
Is it our goalkeeper?
Hey, it sure is. Yeah, I'm just really interested in your opinion on this because I have my own, but I really want to hear from you. So someone take the floor.
I'll start off. So Nick Pope this season has kept us in so many games. There's no denying that. Okay, he even did it to a certain point on Sunday where he pulls off a great save, and you probably get that at least once a game with Nick Pope. But
once again,
catch a ball. That's all I'm asking. Catch a ball. Like twice he punches out where it looked like, and I think once again even the commentators addressed this and can't understand why he's not trying to collect that and he's just punching at it into dangerous areas both times. We'll concede off one of them. Lucky not to concede off the first one as well. And the Paqueta goal, he gets a full hand to that. How he doesn't keep that out is beyond me. He looks frustrated with himself at that one as well. The third one, it is what it is. He gets megged. He tries his best to get that from hitting the back of the net with a last-ditch dive for it. I think from what we saw from Ramsdale against Spurs in the Cup, we saw the same as what we get from Pope in that small glimpse. Whether or not Eddie would make that change, I don't know, because you just look at last season when Dubravka had a great run of form in the team. As soon as Nick Pope was fit and ready to go, he's in there. So I just can't see Eddie changing it.
Why would you change a goalkeeper that's kept the most clean sheets in the league, though?
Yeah, there's no reason to. He played badly yesterday. I thought there was a couple of, like I said, the save from the Paqueta free kick down his left was excellent. Some good little corners that have been headed in. He's gotten a good hand under the crossbar, put it away again. The co-commentator was really going at the punching thing. In the first couple, I didn't think were that bad. There was one where he's kind of horizontal and I can live with that. But the one before the goal, he should definitely be gathering that. And you'd say, Chris, that the goal itself, he's not unsighted. It doesn't take a deflection. He should save it. He'll think the same. He's got a good hand on it, 2 good hands on it, I think, actually. And it just kind of bounced like beneath. It was a bit like Tim Krul-esque like. But he was poor.
So that push for that first goal, I'm not that bothered about, because he's coming across the top of players to do it. So I think I get he could potentially come up and jump and try and catch it, but if he does, he's going over the top of those 2 players and coming down heavy. So I think he's going for the safety thing of, right, I'm having to reach for this. I'm going across me defender and their striker, and punching it and just trying to get it away from the danger zone, which I don't have a problem with. It is unfortunate that it falls back to one of their players, plays it inside, and then Paqueta bends it around. And as we've already said, Bruno turns his back on it, which is unforgivable. And then, yeah, like you say, the other ones, they are what they are. Nothing he can do about the second. It's unfortunate. Botman, 9 times out of 10, you slide in like that, and you put it out for a corner. It's one of those afternoons.
He makes for the second one, just to throw it in there. He makes a very, very quick choice to run off his line before he knows where that ball's goal mind.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that he can do. I think he's trying to anticipate the cross. You know what I mean? Yeah. My point is, I really feel there's a like a change in the wind like about him, and that fans just are desperate to pile on him for some reason. And it actually it really annoys us, if I'm honest. And like that, he made that save. Was it the free kick off Paqueta, the bottom corner? What a save that is, man! I'm not kidding here. We could have been maybe 2 down by that stage, man. Right? I just feel like I totally understand the first goal he should save, 100%. You ask him this question, he'd probably say the same. But I came away from that game, and I went on my phone and I've seen so much about Nick Pope, right? Honestly, so much about him. And I thought, have I watched the same game? Because I'm telling you now, lads, right? There is a lot worse about that performance than Nick Pope. Like Nick Pope's not an issue for me. Like Dingle is wrong, he can't use his feet. Yes, he was at fault for the first goal, and now there's issues there. But if you judge that 90 minutes, there's a lot worse of that 90 minutes that he's not involved in. Now, on the flip side, I always try. I like Ramsdale, right? I've got no problem. I thought on Wednesday he was fantastic on Wednesday, if I'm being honest with you. But we all kind of know maybe he's the cup keeper and Pope's number 1. I did say at the start of the season that I think eventually he will become the number 1. And I just feel this sort of... Sorry, well, I mean, this season, we'll still be here, right? Like, even if we don't say he's still here possibly, this season, you know?
I think it'll take an injury or something like that to get him into the team, though?
Well, there's a few things being through at how, not even some of the press I was reading today, saying he's very loyal to his players, isn't he? And sometimes that can be a detriment to him, I think, sometimes can be. And I never thought I would see how he makes substitutions like he did on Saturday. If I'm being honest, it was like sometimes when I'm on Football Manager and I'm like, fuck, that was shit at half time to sub everyone. Like, it was
play on Football Manager, so that's the biggest lie ever.
Well, I'm on it. I don't play on it, but anyway.
But that's been a criticism of that. He doesn't try.
Criticism of me,
he doesn't. That he doesn't make substitutions. That he doesn't try to do things. This season, I think we've seen a hell of a lot more attempts at trying to make changes through substitutions than we ever had. Like, how many substitutions have we seen, like, before we've even got to the 60-minute mark this season, whereas it was normally given somebody 5-10 minutes at the end of it. So I think he's at least trying to impact games through substitutions, and maybe that's because he feels he's got a stronger bench available to him now, and he can try and do that and try and impact the games. But it's to the point that you made, though, about Pope. It's 100%. People are always just looking for somebody to point a finger at and to blame. Longstaff's not here anymore. Miggy's not here anymore. You move on to the next player. Dan
when Pope did that throwout against Benfica, you know what I mean? I actually think there would have been people there not happy that he did that. Like, I feel Pope's like almost a maxi in that, because I used to say this a lot. God, I used to go to games and it wasn't marked, before anyone has a joke. It wasn't marked, but people I used to sit around were honestly desperate for him to not do well. And I sometimes feel I went to it was a Liverpool game. I'm going back a few weeks now. I apologise, but the 10-men won against Liverpool. The lad to my left, right, slagged off Pope the entire 90 minutes. And Sunday we had a corner and he was slagging Pope off. It was our corner and he was having a go at Pope. What's his scapegoats?
So Steve said, scapegoats. What do I keep telling you lot every so often? We always have to have a scapegoat. I mean, in my 42nd season as a match goer, and we've always had one.
Yeah. You must have started taking him to the match, did you, Besty?
And Pope's not at fault. I'm not saying here that Pope is like had an amazing game Sunday and all this. I just feel the criticism's a little bit harsh at times on him. And is it because he can't use his feet? I feel that's the biggest overriding thing. I still think people
couldn't use his hands yesterday, mate.
Well, maybe.
Well, like the
Well,
point you made
once.
about the throw-out,
He did do a
was,
good
people were saying, "Oh, well, he only did that because he can't kick the ball." Just say it's a good throw. It's a good throw. There doesn't always have to be an agenda to it.
People are obsessed with his kicking. I think it's really weird. Like, his kicking isn't brilliant, but it's not like, it's not Sunday League kicking. You get it's not.
Well, I don't know.
We've seen it long enough, haven't we? Like,
I mean, let's be fair here. I haven't had a chance to speak about that Wednesday game. I'm not going to go all the way back to it this much, but Ramsdale was mint, all right. Like,
he was good. He wasn't.
He peeled off a brilliant save, and I thought he was really progressive with his feet as well.
That save. Everyone's been kind of with that save. He saves it and it goes straight up in the air. That's a good save, but that's not how you save it. You've got to
That's not how you should save it on Sunday either, though, right? With Pope, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not. But but we're not saying that Pope did really well. We're saying that Pope should do better. That Ramsdale, he gets across well, gets his hand to it. But Rob Elliott would do it all the time. He would save it and it would go straight back into danger. Ramsdale saves that.
Rob Elliott.
Ramsdale saves
that was a decent save, mate. I thought you seen it quite late.
It's a good save. It's a good save. Yeah. But you've got to push that away. It's straight up in the air.
You've got Besty commenting on Ramsdale. Yeah, we know which route this is going to go down.
No,
he doesn't like Ramsdale.
I want Ramsdale to do well. I want them all to do well. Like Ramsdale,
not Asula though. Not Asula.
I do. Not Asula.
I'm joking.
I would like nothing more than Asula to come in and get 3 yesterday. But but like, he makes that save on Wednesday. It goes down his head, but he goes straight in the air, and the Tottenham player's got the ball inside the 6-yard box straight away. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be happening. That's got to go away for a throw-in or a corner, or you hold it. He couldn't hold it, obviously. So it's a good save, but it's the rest of it. Ramsdale's not a bad. What I've seen of him so far for us, he's done well for the most part. I don't think.
And it's hard. Do you think it's hard, Bestie? I think it's hard for a goalkeeper to sit as a sub and put the cones out, and then all of a sudden you're playing. And totally. I think that's all. And I thought I was really impressed with him against Tottenham. And the reason why, and I always say about goalkeepers, he had nothing to do for large parts.
Yeah,
but my God, was he on that particular moment? He made the save, and I think that's really good. But sorry to go back to Pope. I honestly just think it's a little bit harsh at times. Like, just harsh at times.
Massively.
He's been fantastic for it, and I think we'll go back to the season. There's so many games. I think, God, I might, if it wasn't for you, would have been out of sight by now. I wish I could remember the reference to the games, but there's a lot of games I remember saying, yes, we've won, but God, we could have been 2 or 3. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? And again, that doesn't mean you can't criticize him. I'm not saying that, but I just feel there's an overriding agenda that in order for us to be a great football side, we've got to get rid of him. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like,
I'm gonna go through the questions in just a moment because we've had a fair few come in tonight. If anybody else has any more questions, send them through as quickly as possible. Deka, I'm going to stick with you this one. I'll go around all yours and get your opinion on it. Okay, like I mentioned earlier on when I was speaking to Besty, is I think this sort of result in this performance has just been waiting to happen. I think we've been getting through games by the skin of our teeth. And I think you said it, Deka, at the start of this one, it was a worrying performance where you can't just keep on having these performances and getting away with it. We saw that on Sunday. Does it need to change now, or are we just going to find ourselves in this horrible part of the league and struggle to get back up there with the pack?
This is probably where I'm going to be the most negative tonight, if I'm honest. When we say that it's been coming or these performances, what I will say is somehow, well, I said this last week actually, the Champions League games, the opposition just haven't been as strong as the Premier League. And we have to face facts on that, right? That yes, we've rolled over Benfica and Gordon not like a world beater, but then can't play against Brighton, can't play against West Ham, right? We have to understand that Premier League's just a different animal, right? The away form is diabolical. Haven't won away from home. I know Daryl was quite quick to say we're winning the Champions League. I get it, Daryl, but we haven't won in the Premier League away from home.
No, I have to be 2 goals.
Yeah, 2 goals.
2 goals.
And I try. Listen, I love Eddie Howe, and I'm put the banner up, whatever you want to do. I'd be very, very surprised if we get by amongst it. Like, and I know someone might say we're only 5 points off 5th or something like that. I'd be surprised if given we've got Carabao Cup still, FA Cup still to come, still more Champions League games. I just have a horrible feeling that we'll be in and around this sort of 7th to 11th thing all season. That's just my opinion.
Any of you still want to jump in?
I think it's early to write it off just yet, but I think, it's looking at how it's hard. There's a lot of inconsistency. Liverpool have just come off the back of 4 defeats in a row, and they're still second at the minute, maybe.
Malcolm's a second, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, there would have been South London.
I was going to say the winner.
Apologise. It was 1-0. Apologise.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah. So it's. I think there is a lot of inconsistency in the league this year. So I'm not totally of the opinion that it's too many things need to change yet, but it's definitely that was alarming yesterday. The decisions that Howe made as much as the performance, to be honest with you, because like Deka says, like 3 subs at half time. That I don't think it really merited that, because there was a stat came on the telly not long before half time, and I think it was still 1-1 at the time, and we'd had possession was 50-50, shots was the same, and I think they'd had one more touch in the box than us. And it was an awful first half, don't get us wrong, but I don't think the first half performance merited a treble substitution necessarily. And for all, like I say, we had all the ball in the second half. We just couldn't do anything with it. And it seemed so slow. I don't know if it seemed so slow all the way through the second half in particular. But no, I don't think it's what we're desperate for form, and we're desperate the things to pick up. That was the one yesterday that I thought, but if it's gonna turn around soon, then it turns around. I think we're coming off the back of 3 wins in 3 competitions, aren't we, as well? So, I know that cups don't give you league points, but the performances have been a bit better at home. But a little bit alarming. What happened yesterday? Not just what happened yesterday, but what happened yesterday off the back of not having scored against Villa, Leeds, another away game, and then losing the way we did against Brighton as well. Just starting to get a little. I wouldn't say worried, but there's kind of the signs there that things aren't wonderful.
We're a quarter of the way into the season at this stage, so there's still plenty of time to turn it around, and that is the key thing. There's no reason to panic at the minute, and I think that is the overriding message. Like, again, I've seen stuff over the weekend of people saying it's the end of how he needs to go, we need a change, he's lost the dressing room and stuff like that. It's a bad day at the office. It was always going to happen at some point. West Ham couldn't continue to be as bad as they have been. They were going to win a game at some point. Nuno's gone in there. There's always going to be a point in the season when his way of playing and a little bit of something starts to happen for them. Unfortunately, it's when it came up against us. The key for us now is how we react to that defeat at the weekend. And I can take losing. Getting beat isn't a problem. I'm used to it. We've lost a hell of a lot of games over the years. What I can't forgive is the lack of effort, lack of performance, and that is the thing that really, really did for me at the weekend, and that's what needs to change. So that needs to be players looking at themselves in the mirror, looking at themselves and saying, I'm not playing well enough, and doing something about it.
Do you feel
and
it's
that
like
starts tomorrow night?
This is a funny one, because it sounds awful, this, doesn't it? But I'm not really bothered about tomorrow night. I'm not. It's the Premier League we need to be picking up points in, and it wouldn't surprise if tomorrow we're going to roll over these. No offense to Bilbao or anything, but 2-0, 3-0, right? But then got Brentford away on Saturday, and it wouldn't surprise if we lost there.
Well, that's a mentality thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can get yourself up for the Champions League games, get yourself up for the cup games, then there's no excuse for you not doing it in the
Mark,
league
I think
games.
you can even throw in there, get yourself up for the big Premier League games as well. Look at the performances we're putting against Arsenal and Liverpool.
Yeah.
I
mean, we were unlucky against Liverpool. It seems like a lifetime ago, but
it does.
But again,
I think that's what annoys
something
about.
Isn't right, and it's annoying. But the only way to put it right is to go out on that pitch, roll your socks up, and get on with it.
I heard he said something in his presser, which was I thought was very deep for Howe, to say that. But he said, I don't know if you watched it, but he said about mentality. He says we had a weak mentality or something. He says some of the players have got weak mentalities. So it was like some kind of line like that. I thought that was quite deep for him to say that, to be honest. And And I think to what Mark says, I agree in the sense of that. Don't mind. Well, everyone doesn't want to lose, sorry, but you understand you're going to lose a game of football, right?
You can't win every game, of course you can't.
Exactly. But what's worried is so much when I've watched us, right? Like I'll say about Fulham, I'll say about Brighton, I'll say about Leeds. I keep coming about that Leeds game. How toothless we look. Bournemouth away, so toothless. Like literally, don't even seem to create an opportunity. You know, we had what felt like about 70-80% of the ball in that second half. And let's be fair, we could still be playing now. We wouldn't have scored. Let's be realistic. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's quite alarming is that like we don't look a threat. At home we're doing moments. I do at home. I'm not saying that, but
and that's where we need that player that's different, that can do something, and it's
like a Maxi.
No,
an offer.
You knew I had to go there, right?
We've got one of them on the wing that's staying out as well at the minute, anyway, haven't we? It's the middle
my
of
mate
the
had more
park
skill than him.
where we're struggling with any type of creativity. We're most creative player is playing as a defensive holding midfielder
Or right back.
All right, yeah. Right. Can I just reference? That's what I. Sorry, I know you want to go to the question. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I wanted Miley to start as the defense, the holding, and it'd be a Bruno Tonali. That was what my hope was, because I just felt progressing wise moving forward, because we'd have more of the ball, it would be better. So as I say, I was a bit disappointed by that.
Let's go through the comments. We've had a donation from Josh, as always. Thanks very much, Josh. He has said, you're probably going to disagree with me tonight. Some of the comments I've seen online were a bit over the top. People saying it was the worst performance they have ever seen. Were they born post-takeover, or did they miss the Bruce Port and McLaren era? I think
what I've to be fair, isn't it?
Well, what I've seen,
to overreact.
what I've seen on social media is a lot of people in addressing and saying it's the worst performance that we have seen under Eddie Howe, and I think
probably
I'm in agreement with that.
That's right. Yeah.
There's no sugarcoating. We were absolutely shockingly bad. We were atrocious. Every single person on that field was unbelievably poor. Hence why Eddie Howe could have chose anybody to be taken off at half time. But as we've addressed already, I think his half time substitutes, along with a lot of the other, were questionable as well. So he's got to take a lot of the blame on this one as well.
So we're saying that that's the worst performance in 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Which, to Mark's point, that Liverpool game feels like a lifetime ago. So if you're saying that's the worst performance in 4 or 5 years, my word, that's a big sample size, right? Of how bad that performance was, you know? Yeah,
and that's where Josh is right, is because when you in the grand scheme of things, and it's because people, you know, do in the moment, it feels raw because it was a very, very poor display. But grand scheme of things, it's one game, it's a blip. We've got to get over it and move on. And that's the
is it one
thing.
game though,
It's
Mark?
what comes after that.
Is it one game?
Good point, Chris.
It's one game.
It's not one game.
As bad as that. Yes, we haven't played brilliantly this season. We've already
won
talked
away from
about
home,
that.
yes.
We've played poorly. There's no getting away from that. But we've at least
how many games in the Premier League this season, Mark, have we performed well? I would say 1, and we lost it to Liverpool.
Arguably 2, and the other one we lost now, which was against Arsenal. Maybe.
But again, that's then the sign of a good team, is that even when you're not playing well, you can try and grind out a result. And yes, I get that result isn't always a win. Sometimes getting a draw is a big thing. It's all the points that are adding up. I'm not saying we've been great all season by any stretch of the imagination.
But I think that sentence does come into play and does make sense when it's a one-off game. But as it's going through the majority of what we're seeing so far, yes, we're only a quarter of the way through the season, but we can't just keep on saying that. I think, yes, it works for one game. A lot of people used to say that about Man United, where Man United used to keep on winning games. When they were on their runs in the late 90s, whatever it was, that they could win games ugly. We're just not. That's just not what we're doing.
We've sat around the table, right? We've sat around the table a few times and said, especially me and you, Mark, about the lack of service of Altamara, the link, you know, there's nobody in and around him. We're struggling to create chances. You know, this is just game after game after game. We seem to be saying the same thing. You know.
That's why I'm saying that it needs a reaction. And God, I know I've said that plenty of times over the years as well in this season, but Howe was quite clear with these players, with what's been said and stuff like that, that it wasn't good enough, and we absolutely have to see a reaction. And if we don't see a reaction on the game tomorrow night, and moving into the was it Brighton we've got it? No,
Brentford.
Bournemouth.
It's not Brentford.
No, Brentford. I knew
Brentford,
it was a B.
yeah.
Brentford at the weekend. Then there is questions to be asked of, but my focus is questioning the players and how much they desire it, and going back to that mentality piece, because it's all well and good getting up for the big games as we've just discussed, but you have to do it week in, week out. If you want to be challenging, if you want to be playing in the Champions League again next season, half-arsed performances aren't going to cut it.
I think he's right, Besty. I think we all want to see a reaction, but I want to see that reaction continue into Premier League games. We know the players can get up for a Champions League game. Anthony Gordon spoke about himself. He has no issues getting up for a Premier League, Champions League game. The difference is you need to continue that form in every single competition.
Yeah, I think Deka made the point earlier where the Premier League now is that strong that a kind of middling to bottom half Champions League team aren't as good as someone like Brighton or Bournemouth or Brentford, or it's just how it is. It's just that's where the strength is now. It's weird because I would think I was going to say it's been a bad start of the season, but yet we're in the League Cup quarterfinals, we're 7th or 8th in the Champions League group, something like that. So it's in the cups we've had a great start of the season, we're looking good, but in the league, especially we say away from home, I think it's now become not just a kind of we'll pick up. I think it is now a bad start officially, and it is strange that they don't seem to. I mean, I don't know. They've got the 4 against USG who have been pumped again in the most recent match day. I seem to recall.
Hedworth Hall.
Hedworth Hall, aye. Bilbao tomorrow on Wednesday night. Bilbao's fans aren't happy with the way their club's going. They've had a bad start of the season as well domestically. Apparently, I've not actually looked at the table, but
yeah.
But what
do you think it's caused 2 games in a week, Bessie? Do you think it's because we're balancing 2 competitions, or perhaps 3? You mentioned quarterfinals of the cup. Do you think it's trying to stretch yourself for all of these games? And
I think that was. I mean, that's what we were saying a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it? It was the kind of lack of preparation. They were just getting in and training, weren't doing the match prep properly. But the thing is, if you want to be a successful, a consistently sustained successful team, you're going to play 2 games a week for that, that length of time in the season. So you've got to find a way of making it work. And if that means that your match preparation isn't as meticulous as it would otherwise be, then you've got to find another way to make it work, basically.
Yeah, because you become in this horrible cycle, don't you, of, God, we really want Champions League football. You get it, but then you think, actually, it's a hindrance. I wish we didn't have it. And then we've spent a lot of money in the summer, right? We've all sat around the table and agreed that our squad looks stronger than it's ever been. Correct. We're ready to compete on these couple of fronts, and when it doesn't happen...
I think, once again, I think you have to throw in, yes, we're saying that the squad is good, but that squad's only as good as your fit players. I think that's the difference. I think what we need to do in January, and this hasn't even been a question sent in, which I'm really shocked at. I think what we need to do in January is bring in a left back, not somebody that can stop, but somebody that can play there. Yes, I know Tino can play there. Tino arguably could be a better left back than what he is right back. To be fair, but I think
Kris, we sat here in the start of the season and said we had good cover at fullbacks. We had Tino that can play at left back.
When you get 2 injuries to a full back position, that's hard.
And that's it. That's what's put in this position. Yeah. Trippier got injured as well. So it's not a normal situation that we find ourselves in. It's easy to then point the fingers at that, but we were happy with our full backs and are happy at full back position. We've got 3 out injured. That's what dumps you into this situation. And then, obviously, we're bringing Kraft in, who, again, in the midweek, I thought he looked, he looked like he was.
He's only just got back to match fitness as well, though, hasn't he? Kraft's been injured for a little while, I think.
It's easy to sit and point fingers at it and things like that, but.
No, I'm saying the reason why I'm saying I want another left back, not a new left back, but somebody to come in to be that replacement for Hall if Hall is injured or suspended, is because of Dan Burn playing there. And I know he can do a job, but he's a hell of a lot better centre-back than what he is left back. And if we've got somebody that's naturally available at left back, then that's going to be your replacement.
I get that, but he's your 4th choice left back. He's your fourth choice left back that's playing there at the minute.
Who is, sorry?
Because
Sorry, Sunderland have scored, so I'm just annoyed.
Burn-
Sorry, what was that?
Burns your fourth choice left back, because before him playing there, you would have Hall, Tino, or Trippier.
I don't know about that. Mate,
You
he
would.
ain't playing Trippier.
You-
He ain't playing Trippier. Nah, mate, come on. When we finished fourth in cup finals and all, or whatever it was, Burn was left back. I believe Housey's Burn higher than that in his rankings in terms of left back. Like,
I think third after Hall and Tino. I wouldn't have
maybe
him
third. Yeah.
ahead of Trippier left back, but
Nah,
Shall we go through the rest of the questions?
If we've got somebody that can play it right back, say there's only Kraft and Trippier, he's going to play Kraft right back and Trippier left. Oh, he's even played Emile at left back in times, hasn't he? It's when he got his bad injury when he moved over there.
I don't think you play Kraft and Trippier ahead of Trippier and Burn. Like,
Well, I will
didn't
say, can I just
Where
add,
everything's fucked.
he didn't
Trippier,
earlier
I
in the
guess,
season, did he?
Trippier gets a lot of garbage, and people complain about him a lot. But I still believe when he wasn't on the field, you've seen a huge difference at right back on Sunday. No disrespect to Kraft, he comes in, I'd say 9.5 times out of 10, and does a great job for it. To be fair, I just thought you could tell her. I mean, bless him, he was off it on Sunday, like, wasn't he? To be fair.
Yeah, he was.
As
Next
all of
question.
them were, not just Kraft.
This is from one of our members, Callum Lewis. That says, do we drop Gordon in the Premier League and start playing Barnes instead and keep Gordon for Champions League games? This has been something which has been mentioned a lot in regards to Gordon's attitude at the moment when you're looking at him play games in the Premier League compared to those in the Champions League. Yes, I know in the Champions League he got 2 penalties. So that's obviously contributed towards his goal contribution as well. But I think, Deka, you mentioned it earlier. What's 19 Premier League games without any sort of goal or assist to his name? Which, if that had have been somebody like your mate Maxi, there would have been hell on. But Gordon seems to be getting away with it.
I don't think he's at all.
To a certain
I'm
extent,
not sure.
I think it's turning now. I think
it's turning a bit now. I think there's questions.
That's a
being
shocking
asked.
run of form, though. Shocking run of form.
Oh, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I think, though, it's turning more so for sometimes I think his attitude or people seem to call that out a bit more. His body language gets mentioned a lot, I think I hear more about his body language and his output of goals and assists, mind you. I will say that. I still do feel that not having a Hall or a more offensive-minded fullback is affecting him. I have to say that. I do. But I know loads of people keep saying it as well. How come we say, like, the Benfica Gordon, best performance of the season, which it was for him, let's be fair, right? He was fantastic against Benfica. That's only a week ago or something, right? I think it was. I just think it's the opposition that is... I mean, some people are saying he gets up for a Champions League game because it's a bigger event, and I disagree with that. I do honestly believe Gordon is trying. I do. It just doesn't seem to be working for him, but you could say it's not working for a lot of players, couldn't you? But would I drop him for Barnes? I probably still wouldn't, even though I'm saying, I probably wouldn't. And I like Barnes as well. I do like Barnes. I mean, God, he was awful when he come on Sunday. But I do like him. But I probably still would stick with Gordon.
Shot that he had, Deka.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't, as soon as it left his boot, he hadn't even gone out of play, and he just turned around.
Yeah. I think it was at that moment where, and I felt it earlier on than that, but on that moment I was like, yeah, it's not.
I think there was about 2 minutes left in the game at that point.
Yeah, just we're never going to, even if we create something, we're not going to be able to take it. But yeah, we've just, Mark, to be fair to Mark, right? Mark made a good point there that, like, results like this sometimes make or break you, don't they? Where, like, we've been there before in the past, haven't we? We've had a real humbling by a team, and the team unite and we'll go again and we'll turn it round. But it's hard to have faith sometimes a little bit when you see how bad it was on Sunday. You're like, God, where on earth? But they might turn up really well against Bilbao, and one might get a result against Brentford. I mean, Brentford's going to be tough, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but can he start, haven't
they have done well, yeah.
Can't wait for that one. Does anyone want to throw anything in about a Gordon opinion, or would you like to move to the next question?
I don't think there's anything positive that you can say about it at the minute, in fairness.
I think overriding to my answer, he has to do better. Overriding to everything I've just said about blaming fullbacks not being there and et cetera, and attitudes. The bottom line is he needs to be doing better, and
Yeah.
I think we're going to agree on that.
Great.
Actually, that whole thing that you've just said, that attitude. You look at some of the interviews that he's done in recent months. He always goes on about his mentality, his preparation, how his attitude and stuff like that. I'm not seeing any of that at all. For somebody that's, prides themselves on mentality and being in a position to give his best at every moment.
Well,
where is that? Where is the
I
results
don't
of
know. I don't think there's any lack of effort there. He shows up every week. He's always on the ball. He's always asking for the ball. He always wants it. He doesn't go missing, Gordon, does he? Unless there's defending to be done, apparently.
He goes missing in the corners a few times when he throws himself to the floor and rolls around a bit.
Yeah, I could live with that as well. But I don't think I don't think it's for a lack of trying or a lack of kind of an attitude thing or anything like that. Because he wants the ball. He wants the ball. He wants to be trying to drive at players. I think a lot of it is teams know how to defend against him.
I agree.
I think maybe he's a little bit one-dimensional, and that's what is. And in Europe, I don't know if average fullback doesn't have the same pace that having in the Premier League. Wan-Bissaka's not a slouch. Teti from Fulham had him in his pocket for the most part of the home game the other week. I think teams just know how to set up to nullify Gordon. I don't think it's necessarily for a lack of the body language thing. Could just be frustration. I don't think there's any kind of lack of effort on his part or anything like that. I think his mentality is fine. He just needs to find another way to do it.
Besty's absolutely bang on there, by the way. Bang on. Because if he hasn't got the pace on the fullback within the first 5-10 minutes, I already kind of feel it's going to be a long afternoon for him. Because he doesn't, no offense to the lad, but he doesn't technically beat them by a step over or a bit of skill, right? It is normally, I'm going to push the ball past you and I'm going to beat you with pace. So if that fullback has pace, sorry, it's going to be a long afternoon.
And that's what's happening on the other wing with Elanga. It's two very similar players that just want to get past and then whip a ball to the back.
And that's where you might say Murphy is more like a Primark Beckham in that doesn't need the pace, right? He just
put the ball in.
As long as he can get a yard away, he can put that ball in. As in the goal, I thought he did fantastic for the goal against the weekend.
What's really been frustrating me recently is, especially from those sort of positions that we're getting with Gordon, Elanga, Murphy, whoever it may be, put an early cross into the box. Like, I'm sick of because you can see Voldemort is getting really frustrated as well because he's making those runs into the box and just nothing happening. And you got somebody that's bigger than the fucking houses here, man. Like, just stick it into the 6 yard, well, stick it into the box and see what happens. But we just don't do it. We'll get to a certain point and they go, actually, I think we need to go back a little bit and start again. Just put it in there. Just see what happens. And we'll just never do it.
I'd also kind of add to that is the quality sometimes of the crosses is woefully in that. Like, sometimes we do have bodies in the box and the crosses into the box are horrendous. And again, set pieces, I'll say it again. You know, we had a few corners on Sunday there. I think we were 1-0 up at the time as well. We had a corner. And I looked at the size of the lads while on the pitch. You know, like, I thought, God, we can cause some trouble here, but we just never seem to cause any trouble.
As well, I got to say, West Ham had conceded the most set pieces.
Yes,
this season.
You're right. Yes, that was at that
9,
moment.
apparently.
Actually, it was that moment when I thought, wow, them have conceded the most, and we have the biggest side, arguably in the league, right, in terms of Sundays when all of them go up. And we just never seem to look a threat at any point. It's just, I don't know.
Agreed. Next question. I'll come to you on this one, Mark. It's from Dale. It says, it's not really a question, but I'm going to read it anyway. It says, we've had a stinker with Elanga. Even Howe doesn't have faith in him to change a game off the bench. Thoughts on that, mate? If you're judging it right now, okay, let's say you've got to make a decision right now, not he'll come good, he needs time. Right now, it's been very, very bad.
Yeah, and it's not the first time we've said it. Been sat here on a Monday night, is it? He's having a tough old start to his Newcastle career. It's just not working for him at all at the minute, and there just doesn't seem to be other than in the Champions League where he again was very good. I think it with him and Gordon, it's going to be a one, and it probably goes back to the last question around dropping Gordon for Barnes. I think it's going to be very much a case with our wide players that we need to look at the opposition of who we're playing, how they play, the type of way that they'll approach the game, because if it's teams that are going to sit in deep against us and make it difficult for it to break down, where we can't get in behind, then there's absolutely no point in playing Gordon and Alanga out wide. If you are going to have them, then particularly with Big Nick, you need to get them closer to him and have them running in off him and getting in behind. That's because they're not getting the space into the corners and down the flanks that they're used to and will want to against teams that are going to come out and play against us, to allow that space in behind. And I get why we would do it, because it'll give them the opportunity to get in and beat the man. So I think we'll probably see a lot more, and I would hope that this will be a case and something that Eddie would be looking at, is that when we're playing teams that are going to sit in deeper and make it difficult for us, that's maybe when we will see the likes of your Murphy and Barnes coming in, because they don't necessarily have to get in behind. But again, then needs to be the onus on the midfield, because if all you're getting is picking it up in those wide players and then you're coming inside, then if you're then hitting a block of defenders, a block of midfielders from the opposition, and there's nobody there for you to come to, that's when we then end up just passing the ball from one side of the pitch across the front of the box to the other side, looking for a little route into the box, and then looking for that little triangle of somebody trying to run into the box and pick that out. We need to do something different in those final thirds, and
if we are going to do it, Mark,
just aren't happening.
If we are going to do that, it needs to be a lot quicker. To go back to what Besty said, that's what I thought. Goodness me, it was like we were punch drunk at times, man. The speed in midfield was so slow and languid, and that, I think, to go back to yesterday for 1 second, like I don't really. If you lose a game, you lose a game, but like the sort of lack of desire, speed, energy, thought, desire. I think desire is probably the strongest word. That's what annoyed us the most. It wasn't losing 3-1. Couldn't be monkeys with the third goal. Can I add? Like, everyone's going, you got to be 3-1. The third goal, listen, we're chasing the game. It happens, right? But the lack of thought and desire and speed in more attack. Bruno was getting the ball in midfield, so, and goodness me, I couldn't believe how slow it was. And I just don't know. I think that's why I was more concerned about this performance than most, actually, was because of how slow we were.
Then that lack of pace is what then again isolating Voldemort up front, because there's nobody getting in and around him, because they're so far back that because we're just not getting up the pitch to support him. That's why he then looks isolated, and I don't get why. We know how he's playing. He's not going to change. He's not going to suddenly be hanging around in the box. That'll come when Wissa comes back. And again, I think to my earlier point there around having options in your wide players, having that option of having Wissa up front as well. And again, like I said earlier on tonight, I think that's what he tried to do by bringing Asula on, is just to try and get us higher up the pitch and try and allow us to put a bit of pressure on their
in
back
fairness
foot.
works.
I do agree with
fairness.
I think that Asula change was way too early. Way too early.
I don't know why he didn't give the two of them a go together, because it wasn't working in midfield.
I'm not saying you do that from half time. Do you know what I mean? You're 2-1 down. Listen, we can get back into the game of football, right? So you don't have to go 2 up top at that moment. But I would honestly, truthfully say 10 to 15 minutes into that second half, it was clear as day that West Ham are just here to park the bus and we're going to try and see out this lead. That is when you could have went 2 up top, or Voltamir has a 10 perhaps and Asula up front. I appreciate Asula didn't do anything. I understand that, but I still think his pace and energy probably give them a little bit more to think about, perhaps defensively, why they sat as deep as they did. I just think that change was just too early. That's what I know. Now, don't get us wrong, we might come out tomorrow and it might be Voltamir I was carrying a knock. Well, fair enough, we have to just get on with it. But I don't think he was, because I think Eddie Howe would have made a point of saying that at the press conference. I had to make these changes because we had some injuries. He just mentioned tactical was all I heard him say. It was tactical. I wasn't happy with the first half, and these are the tactical changes. There was
a rumour going around that the team had been affected by an ongoing bug as well, similar to what had affected Tonali as well. Whether or not that's true, but once again, if that was the case, I'm sure that would have been addressed already by now.
Well, Trippier was out with illness, wasn't he, as well, apparently?
You've just
I will say how won't
workplaces and see the amount of people that are affected by flus, bugs. We're getting into that type of season. The temperature's dropped right down. COVID's rearing its head again. That's why we're all at home. It's back to 2020. So
how wouldn't, to give Howe credit, he wouldn't hide behind stuff like that, to be fair to the guy. Like in a press conference, he wouldn't say 10 of them have got the flu and one of them has just got something else. Like, he's just not that type of guy. He just says, well, we weren't good enough, etc., etc., you know, which I do give him a lot of credit for. But towards the end of the game as well, I don't know if you noticed, but West Ham had the ball quite late on and they were just passing it around. And Howe was like screaming at the team to press. So was Tyndall as well, and they just weren't following the instruction. They just were not pressing. Like, and you could see how frustrated Howe was that, like, he's given these instructions, but it just didn't seem to. It just seems so off. It just seems so off yesterday.
And that's why my anger's with the players on the pitch and not Howe.
Well, you still have to point blame selection wise. Surely substitutions: Tonali right back, Joelinton left wing. I still have Osula substitution too early. I still have to point at the dugout to the degree. But you're right, ultimately, Mark, the players still cross that white line, them still have to do a job, right? And they didn't. So
yeah. But I can understand why Howe would try to make those changes. They didn't. In hindsight, they don't work, but...
Right, last question of the night, because we've been going an hour and 20 minutes here. I can tell we're at home. Next question is from Steve Passmore, friend of the show. He says, are we at the beginning of the end for Howe? How long will PIF allow indifferent performances and poor results to continue? So take your fan head off for a second, okay? I think it was like if you were an owner of this football club, what happens next?
For me, there's no problems whatsoever. Like, everyone just needs to relax here. We're 5 points. I know we've been very negative. We're 5 points off fourth, fifth.
Eighth.
We're in the quarter. Apologise, what? 5
points off eighth.
Oh, has it changed a bit now? Has it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Last night it was looking quite positive at it, but okay, 5 points off eighth.
I think I've just looked.
Sack him.
We're on.
That's not great.
Yeah, we're on 12 points in eighth. In 13th, Man U are on 17 in eighth.
Right. Okay. So I'll take that one back a little bit. But
we'll still Tottenham in sixth as well. Like, so sorry, Dan.
Quarterfinals of the Cup, Champions League hasn't been too bad. Let's be fair. There has to be an incredible amount of stock in the bank here, and I don't think our owners they're not Forest owner in that regard of, you know, acting mental, if that makes sense. Now, what I will say, that there's an interesting there's an interesting question.
They're not without foible, like.
And I'm only talking hypotheticals, so Mark's not going to be happy when I say this, because we're only quarter our way through, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if we didn't get European football and it was 9th or 10th, we're not going to win the Champions League, so let's just be very clear. There might be a question then, mind you, if that happened. But I'm talking way down the line, and it's really stupid to go that far down the line. But I'm just hypothetically.
I think what you also have to look at as well, right? Just forget who our manager is right now, right? Let's say Eddie's had an absolute stinger. Let's say we're sat rock bottom. Look at the managers that are available at the minute. There's nothing really apart from poaching in their teams, which obviously comes with the compensation that you've got to pay as well. There's nobody available.
You can get Ange, right? Do a better job. Free.
I will bring Anjai. Can talk about Spurs.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I just think that when Wolves sacked their manager, and I know Gary O'Neill's turned the job down, but they were backing for Gary O'Neill, and you're like, yeah, the pot is very bare. But I think we need to please not go down that sort of route in conversation. I mean, you answer the question, lads. I'm sorry. I just mean in general. Sorry, in general, I would hate to see it start to go down that route of like, how long's he got? And is there any questions being asked? Like, come on, like, you know.
Yeah, we're still a long way away from that. I mean, we won a cup this year as well, you know. We're in the Champions League for the second time in 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things would need to change in my opinion, for it even be a consideration. I don't think there's any merit at all in. And this isn't me having to go at Steve here. I'll have a go at when I see it at the game in a few weeks. I backtracking now, Steve. Now Steve's all right. Steve wouldn't be one of those ones, like. But yeah, I don't think there's any.
Let's see, we'll replace that banner behind you just with that question he sent in, and we'll just print it up and put it behind you. Is that the match?
You can lend him your how out banner.
Do you think if we don't get European football, do you think there's any sort of conversations of like that's not been good enough, or or do you just literally think it's free reign? Just you're fine.
I think behind the scenes
it
probably would be, yeah.
Yeah.
But like you say, we're only quarter of the way in the season. We're in the League Cup quarter final for the fourth time in 4 seasons,
which is impressive.
I'm really pleased, given we're the holders, I'm really pleased we're giving it a good stab at defending it. I'm really pleased.
Same. And the Fulham game's just been announced for the 17th of December, so the week after the derby, the Wednesday after the derby, after Leverkusen. So, it's only the league form, and really only the away league form that's been a problem. At home in the cups, we're doing grand. It's just weird that because the West Ham game was so bad yesterday. That's the focus at the minute. But yeah, I don't think that conversation's anywhere near happening, and I hope it's not.
If we lose against Brentford on Saturday, the conversation's not happening. I just mean I do fear for the sort of social media / fan side of things a little bit.
Oh, I avoid, and I know Mark's gonna say, well, because he used to do it every week now, but I always mute our group during the game, and I don't go anywhere near social media during the game.
Yeah,
because it's.
So that's how you come onto these shows and are a lot more. I'm saying placid, maybe the wrong word, but like because you don't see any of that, right? And you're probably right. You're absolutely right for doing that. Actually,
I avoid it because there's so much.
Yeah.
The
I can understand how you can get sort of dragged into that and then get very irate and get very annoyed and upset, etc. You know.
Oh, for my own sanity, I thought right during the game, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
Don't be led by sheep. Form your own opinions.
It's worked well for you, Mark.
Well, yeah.
Do you know the one thing?
I stand by my opinions. I have my
even the wrong
opinions.
ones.
I don't
even the
need
wrong
to
ones.
be influenced by other people that just massively overreact to things. And this weekend is a huge indicator of that.
So, Mark, when would you start to worry?
It wasn't good enough.
Because we have this conversation a lot when I go, it wasn't very good, this wasn't very, and you're like, it's fine. So, and you're saying this, it's just one game.
I don't just say it's fine. I'll give reasons and explore why, I believe that's to have been the case. I've sat here all night and said the weekend wasn't good enough.
Aye, but I know, but there's always an undertone of it's just 190 minutes, it's just one game, it's be fine. So what is the limit for you, mate? Like what? No, I understand that. You've answered that question. What I'm trying to say to you, though, is when would you start to be concerned? To lose off Brentford? Are you still just, it's okay, it's just one game, it's all right? When is the time when you go, do you know what, actually, I'm worried now a bit?
I can't answer that question because I honestly don't know. I don't know because I can't. Like it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh well, if we haven't won a game by the end of the month or something like that, but I don't know how realistic that is to say. I'm
not saying Murray doesn't relegate. I'm not being stupid here. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at European qualification as my sort of remit, if that makes sense. Not even Champions League. I'll be honest. I'm talking Europa.
But as things stand, as Besty's just said, we were in a very, very similar situation at this point of the season last year. And just look how that turned out. We ended up finishing in 5th. We won the Carabao Cup. We had a good go at trying to do as best as we can. We've strengthened. There's lots of positives there. As bad as the weekend was, there's still lots of positives for us to look at this season.
Difference
we need
from
to act
last
on it.
year to this year was we were putting performances and not getting results.
I don't think we were, Chris. I remember Brentford away
at all.
Ironically, Brentford away last season.
Like.
We got beat 4-2 and we were absolutely disgraceful in the second half in particular.
Chris, I don't think sat there
still scored 2 goals
this time last season. So we couldn't have been that good, could we?
Oh no. I know.
We were 12th or 13th after that Brentford game. Then we went on that run when Isaac started scoring every week, and we were sort of beaten. Well, we're a long way away from any alarm bells for me. Like the start of the season is definitely. I think it is a bad start of the season in the league. It's made Champions League qualification that much more difficult. But that's not to say we can't do it. We're more than capable when Wissa gets in, when the fullbacks get back. If we can keep those two fit, I think those two missing is massive for me. And when Wissa comes back as well, I think this is a really, really good team. Like Mark says there, the fear isn't relegation, and I think Mark said that's not going to happen. 4 seasons ago, that was happening. We were in the 10 years or so I've been doing this podcast with you. I think it's one of the last 4 where we haven't been about to get relegated. So that it's just that it's moved up the table now. The disappointment's disappointment. However, whichever position the league is finished.
Just to throw something in, Besty, and just to stick with you as well. There's a comment came in, and it's a good comment to be fair. It's coming from Jonas, not Gutierrez. It's Jonas Lawson that says, "We've been shit for a big period earlier in this." Sorry, I'll start again. It says, "We've been shit for a big period in earlier seasons. Isn't really a defense, is it? It's a pattern that we should have learned from." It does seem to be a pattern, though, that we start seasons very, very badly.
And that's my point. That's
I think under how.
But is that not worrying?
No, because we've turned it round.
No, but,
so we've
turned it around. Why have we not learned from that? Seasons? Why have we not learned from that and start? But you can't just keep on as a defense. We can't keep on saying that. Oh, we'll always start shit. That's not.
I think it was that. I forget if it was Howe's second full season, so the first Champions League season. At the start of that one, people were saying, he always starts slowly, does Howe. And you think even the season we finished fourth when we got the cup final against.
Why?
A lot of games. Well,
I'm going to be really honest. If we start slowly all the time, he's not the man then. I mean, I'm not trying to be awful here, but if we're trying to progress as a football club and become whatever we're trying to become, we kind of just start slowly all the time. Like,
I do think there's extenuating circumstances this season, though.
When you look say that every year, mate. We could say that every year.
Yeah, but that's the reality of the situation.
Next week, I tell you what, next year we'll have both for fullbacks, but we'll probably lose Bruno. Probably. Or Tonali will be gambling again. We'll lose him now. So to some extent, there'll always be something there that's going to be a problem.
Which we might.
There's always going to be something.
We know what's happened in the summer. We're transitioning into a completely different way of playing with a different striker up front that we need to adapt to. We've completely changed the way that we approach games.
We did start the season without a striker. Yeah.
Exactly. So all I'm saying is that, and I'm not using it as an excuse, despite what he's trying to say there. What I'm saying is, historically, this has happened. But the important point, and the point that I'm making is that every time we've turned it round, we've been able to come back together. We've been putting performances in. We've started winning games. That's why you judged at the end of the season. Now, if that doesn't happen, and it then brings us back to the last point around when you start getting worried, is that is the point is where we now need to start improving in performances, seeing results, getting wins, seeing better performances from the players that just aren't delivering at the minute.
Now, I agree with you about slow starters and XYZ. I haven't been 9-10 games in and not winning an away game, right? Under Howe before. Am I right?
I don't think so. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it wouldn't have been off far off though.
Like, I listen. I like the positivity, and I do agree with what you're saying to an extent. I do, but I just think sometimes like to say, yeah, we've turned it around, so now we've got to go and win 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 games. You kind of put that pressure on yourself all the time. Do you know what I mean?
That's a concern. I think that's, and you're right what you say. I don't think saying that we're having a slow start means that Eddie Howe's not a man for the job. I don't agree with that necessarily, but I think it's a concern that we do start the season slowly and we're always playing catch up. And we'll have turned it around. We'll finish in the top 5, I think 3 times under Howe, or maybe is it 3? Maybe.
Yeah. It has been amazing. Yeah,
it's been brilliant. It has been brilliant. Yeah. But we do find ourselves every autumn looking up the table thinking, wow, I've got some points to make up there. Mm-hmm. And it is, Howe will not be happy with it. You know, Howe's not going to be thinking, oh, it's all great. We'll win in a few weeks' time and everything will be grand again. He'll be wanting to start seasons better. And it is a little bit, and this isn't me saying it's concerned in that I think it needs to change. He needs to go out like that. But it is kind of like after 4 seasons, you should have had one. The season where we finished 4th, we drew loads of games early on, if you remember. We beat Forest in the first game of the season, then we drew loads and loads and loads and loads of games. The season we finished, when the Champions League, we didn't start particularly well. We beat Villa 6-0 first game, or whatever it was, first game of the season. And then we got beat off Liverpool, then we had a bit of a struggle. And last season was the same. Last season we didn't start brilliantly. It was only really after December where we started picking the results up. But that was
and think that it's probably the previous season. It's probably lack of investment from that we've seen.
It's the PSR thing again. I mean, that hasn't really helped, has it? But we've got a better squad now. It's one of those ones where we've got a weaker first team, but I think a better squad overall.
I will say, if you can get both your fullbacks back, properly, you can get Wissa back in the team, and hopefully everyone else stays fit. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you've got a different kettle of fish on your hands there. Like,
Agreed.
if it's not going right, then we have a different conversation. If it's not going right at that point, but I do agree. If we can get it,
and
get
that's
them players
exactly
back,
what
you know,
I'm saying.
yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. There's
I think we need to be a bit patient with Wissam, mind you.
are.
We need to be just, you know, because poor lad's been out for a hell of a long time, and I can imagine when he is named on the team sheet, my Lord Almighty, there's on social media, I'll be going, oh, I trick the deal, win 5-0, no problem. You know,
but you've seen how it's gone.
Got to just, you know,
for the fella, haven't you? It's the same kind
exactly,
of thing.
yeah. We've just got to, you know, but yeah, it's a funny one actually because I was really negative most of the way through it, but used to have brightened my spirits. So well done.
I didn't think I'd been especially positive either, to be honest with you.
Is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap this one up? It's because we've been going longer than a football match is.
We're already at home, it's all right, man. She's still trying to put the bench to bed. So
that's what Eddie House is.
Can we stay a bit longer? What was I going to say? Just Bilbao. Just maybe a scoreline for Bilbao. What's your thoughts on Bilbao? Are you looking forward to it?
So first of all, there has been a match preview recorded. So if you're watching this, the match preview will be going out first thing tomorrow morning. So go and check that out. The lads have done that. I think people are expecting changes, and I'd be very, very shocked to see changes. I think he'll maybe one or two, maybe, but I think he's going to keep the same ones. I think a lot of people like us have had a big discussion about Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton keeps his place on Wednesday night, and I can't see many changes. Maybe Alanga comes in because he has performed well in Champions League games, and I think that'll be unbelievably harsh on Murphy. But I think we'll get by. Like, of course, like Champions League. Do you think
that he might be? Yes, I agree with the changes you've mentioned there. He might make them changes, but do you think it's more of I do want to play Murphy because I really want him for Saturday, rather than a like
maybe? Sort of I think it's more of looking at how Alanga has performed in the Champions League, rather than keeping Murphy for the weekend. Because if you're playing on form, Murphy has to start really. But I think he'll keep on rotating a couple of players in the positions that he can do so. But yeah, I think starting 11 will be pretty much unchanged. Maybe 1, 2 max.
If Trippier's fit, he'll start.
I was going to say I think he'll probably look at the
possibly
back four
Trips,
and see what's there because he shares back as well. So he could make choices in the centre of the pitch. Just I think we'll be all right though. Back of a left footer and a right footer.
Yeah, they haven't. As Besty mentioned almost at the start, like their fans aren't particularly happy with their start of the season and stuff. And I do think we're a different animal at home. I will say that we're a different beast at times at home, and we probably will get the job done. And happy days, right? Top 8 of the Champions League, or perhaps maybe even top 6 at that point, right? Of that group stage. And I hate to say this, but my mind is so focused on the Premier League, like it's so focused on league form. Maybe incorrectly because there's still a game to win tomorrow. But sorry, Wednesday. But
yeah, they're 11th at the minute, Bilbao. So not that dissimilar from us, really.
Similar start to the season, then.
Yeah.
It's a funny one because
games in a week affects your performance, isn't it?
We've played. It's funny enough because we've had moments where, like, I was about to say this line. That's why I'm backtracking a bit. Is we'll start Gordon. Might be able to kickstart his season. You know what I mean? That he might have a great midweek game and kickstart his season. He did that against Benfica, and you think, is this the sort of the catalyst to start? And it doesn't work out.
USG as well.
Maybe Alanga was like
weekend though. Like you get 3 home wins on the bounce in different competitions, albeit then you probably couldn't ask for a better team to have an away fixture against in West Ham. You're thinking, right, he has a chance to carry on, get the momentum, get that away performance, that away victory that we've been so desperate for. Then bang, 3-1. Shit as performance.
Totally right, mate. Totally right. Couldn't agree with you more there. Like, no. Sadly,
it's mental. I've just brought it right back down on a downer.
Aye, we're getting relegated, lads.
But yeah, I'm going to call it a night because I won 40 minutes we've been going. That's a long commute to work for people that want to listen to this. But thanks everybody who has joined watching live. There's been almost 200 right away through this one. If you do like this sort of stuff, like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member. You get plenty of extra stuff. There's currently a video on there with Deka, doing who are you? Who am I? Can't get my words out. Who am I? It's still there for members only. And like I said, you get early access, match previews, match reactions, things like that, and access to the Telegram group as well. We'll see you on the next one. What you doing, everybody? Ta-ra.